under $5,000. I said we were going to talk about motorcycles, and here we go. So we're going to go ahead and dive straight into it. 2006 to 2007 Suzuki GSX-R 600. 599cc, making 124 horsepower. I can tell you, I've probably had about 6 of these motorcycles. They're absolutely beautiful. They look really good. They came from the factory with that Suzuki blue. It's just a great bike. And let me tell you, it's a great beginner bike too. You know, a lot of people will tell you, oh, you should probably get, something lower. But I'm going to be honest with you. My first bike was a 600, and the biggest thing is, as long as you respect the power, you can ride. I'm just going to be honest with you. Just don't be dumb. But great bike. There's a large aftermarket support for this bike. I mean, you could go on eBay, you can go to your local motorcycle dealership, and I guarantee you'll be able to get parts for it right out the gate, and they'll be cheap too. You can buy a whole fairing kit for this thing and make it look absolutely wicked for like 400 bucks. And depending on the quality of the fairing kit that you get, it'll bolt right up, no problem. Also, maintenance is really easy on these bikes. It's Japanese, it's good, it's reliable. It's just a bike that you can go purchase one and just go out and just enjoy, whether it be, just cruising around town or hitting the country road or even the track. They make phenomenal track bikes. It's just great all around, and it's comfy, and I enjoy them a lot. I think they look good, they're sexy. The GSX-R 600, and yes, you can find these under $5,000. I mean, the lowest one I got was like 2,400 bucks, and it needed a fairing kit. But then I had a sweet, beautiful bike, and it ripped. This next bike that's coming up, man, they were just a hot item whenever I was growing up around this time frame, just because they looked really good. They had some sweet looking designs. We're talking about the 2007 to 2012 Honda CBR 600RR. 599cc, making 118 horsepower. And like I said before, it was just a beautiful bike. The design of it, the body lines, it looked so good. It was sleek. And the exhaust came underneath the tail, which was something similar, like something new that we saw. Kawasaki did as well. We'll talk about that later. But it was just gorgeous. They had, so many different editions, and it's a Honda. It's an affordable bike. It really is. You can find them under $5,000. Now, I will say this about Honda. Even though they look really good, it can be a rough ride. That seat's really, really firm. It's just rough. When you're sitting on it, you're planted. And then when you shift it, it shifts a little clunky. I will say that, but that's not taken away of it being bad. That's just, how it feels. But you get an amazing riding experience. They sound sick. You put like M4 exhaust on it, it sounds nasty. It's loud. Great aftermarket support. Parts are really cheap. They're affordable, easy to work on. I mean, it's a Honda. You kind of can't go wrong with them. But yeah, and the power is distributed evenly. It wouldn't be like, oh, it's got a lot of bottom or it's got a lot of top. It's just great all around, and you can't go wrong with it. The Honda CBR 600 is definitely a bike I'd recommend, and I think it would be great for beginners too. It's an affordable bike that's not going to break the bank or anything like that if you ever need something done by it. This next bike, I'm really excited about this one, and the only reason I say that is because of the power. This brand is known for its power. Can you guess what it is? I'm sure you can. We're talking about Kawasaki. So we're going to get into the 2009 and 2012 Kawasaki ZX6R. 599cc. Making a whopping 134 horsepower. That is a lot of power. And let me tell you something. We're gonna break this down later in the video. I kind of want to give you an idea of the brands that we're talking about and how I kind of distribute them. Well, Kawasaki is known for power. Now, this bike is absolutely beautiful. I think it's one of the sexiest bikes ever made around this time. It looks cool. It looks a lot more futuristic. They have aggressive colors. Like, you'll probably go on Facebook Marketplace, type in a Kawasaki ZX6R. I guarantee you'll find a lime green one with Monster Energy stickers all over it, just because that's what everybody did. And it looked cool. It looked great. It was quick. A lot of bottom. When I say power, it's got a lot of bottom end power. That thing is torquey, and as soon as you get on it, it's going. So respect that bike. for sure. You know, and it's a great track bike too. It's pretty lightweight for what it is. I think they distributed the weight really, really good. I'd say it's more of on an intermediate level actually, as far as the bike goes, just because of the power. Make sure that you just respect it because it's a beast. And it's a sexy beast at that. They're quick, they're beautiful, they look good. Just like all the other bikes before, large aftermarket support for these bikes. I mean, it's huge. Affordable parts, I mean, eBay, your local motorcycle shop, heck, Facebook Marketplace. Great bike, highly recommend it. Yes, you can find them under 5 grand all day long. And it's crazy, you know, 5 years ago, though, you'd see it around between $8,000 to $10,000. Which is a lot. That's a lot of money for a sport bike, you know. 5 grand and you're getting that much bike and 134 horsepower. If you don't know motorcycles, just understand that's a lot of horsepower. Trust me. Go get out on 2 wheels and go ride something that only weighs 400 pounds and let me know how fast it takes you. It's fast. This next bike is it's a track killer. I think a lot of you guys are gonna know it if you know motorcycles. You see them on the track all the time. They look sexy. There's some crazy aftermarket parts for this bike. We're talking about the 2007 to 2016 Yamaha R6. Yes, the Yamaha R6. 599cc, making 125 horsepower. Now, I will say, this bike is not comfy at all. It is an aggressive stance. It's a hard seat. The tank is right up there on you. And when you're on that thing, you are hunched over and you are locked in. It's aggressive as far as its stance. And it also looks aggressive. I mean, look at that bike. It is absolutely beautiful, mean, sexy. You know, when I say sexy, you know, the aftermarket support, you can see the demon eyes that they make for this thing. And it is so cool. It makes it just look wicked. And from the factory, they came out with some sweet additions. The Raven edition. Check out this. You know, black with some red pinstriping looks absolutely just nasty and mean, man. Just handles. It's known for handling. If you want a bike that you can drop down some corners, you know, that bike is great in corners. And that's why you're gonna see them at the track. You know, you will see them dominate the track all day long. And I will say it feels a little bit more heavy. You know, out of all the 600, this one feels a little bit more heavy. You feel the weight of this bike, but once you're riding and going, it disappears. It's just so smooth. It is an absolutely smooth bike. Now, I will say this, the R6 does not have a lot of bottom end torque. So if you were to immediately just punch it and launch it, it's gonna, you know, it's quick, but it's not as quick as our previous, you know, contenders that we had here. Now, where the R6 makes up that power is all the way in the top. And that's what makes it such a track bike, because you're gonna be in those high RPMs. Bam, 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 bam. That's where all that power comes from. Pow, pow, pow. I love it. I've had, oh man, like 8 of them, and every single one of them was just, they just look good. You can buy it from the factory stock and it just looks beautiful. Now, so do all these other bikes, but man, this one it's just aggressive. So, the Yamaha R6, go get you one. Absolutely love it. The last bike on my list is a very unique and different bike, and it's probably one of my favorite motorcycles I've ever owned, and I've had several of them, and I actually love this company just because once I got one, I was like, holy smokes, this thing is cool. And right now we're talking about the 2005 to 2012 Triumph Daytona 675R. It is an inline 3-cylinder, not like our previous models, which is a 4-cylinder. It's a 675cc, hence the name, making 125 horsepower. This bike has a very, very unique design with the motor and also just the layout of it. This bike, once again, is not comfortable, but it's an incredible motorcycle. It is very narrow. The seat is very, very hard, and just like the R6, it is incredible in corners. But back to the appearance real quick. The exhaust comes under the tail, which is super, super cool. It gives great sounds. It just sounds so good, and it's very, very unique, and it's very, very, very sensitive. That throttle, you barely touch it, and it's there. It's there. But they came out with some pretty cool colors. They had a special edition, which was white with a blue frame. Check that one out. Looked sick. Absolutely loved it. I have one of those, and it just looked really, really cool. You barely turn the throttle, that thing's ready to go. It's ready. It's locked in. But I think my favorite part and what blew my mind about this bike was when I first got one, and I remember riding and everything, and I was like, all right, let's really try it out in some corners and get down. That thing threw itself in a corner, which I didn't have to do any work. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm diving in. I was like, and it's doing all the work for me, and it felt so good, so good. And that bike is so light too. When I say it's light, it is very light. It feels like I can just pick it up and throw it in the corner. It's unreal how light that bike is and how much power it has. I mean, you barely notice that the bike is there. Maintenance is about the same as the rest, just like any other sport bike. However, you might have a hard time finding somebody to work on it because it is a Triumph. There's not a ton of dealerships. They're starting to get out there a little bit more, and people are realizing, wow, this is a great bike and it's a lot of fun. Parts might be a little bit on the pricier side, not as pricey, but just more than average. But I think the hardest thing is finding the parts. It's not like our last bikes that we talked about. They're a little bit harder to find just because, those other bikes are just saturated. They're everywhere. You can see those everywhere. Not many for the Triumph. You might have to hunt those down a little bit more. But I will say about this bike, I would say this is an intermediate level just because it's very, very torquey. I wouldn't recommend it for your first starter bike just because there are better options out there. Once again, I'd say an intermediate rider or someone that's been riding for a little bit longer just because, one, it's got power and it's ready. It's ready to hit corners. It's ready to just lean. So, and it's one of those where it'll throw you in a corner. So if you're not ready for it, you're gonna be ready. I'll tell you that much. These are the top 5 bikes though that are under $5,000. You can get any of these. Go on Facebook Marketplace, type one in, and I guarantee you'll find one. And the best part is you're not gonna find just a stock one. And if you do, awesome. You can customize it yourself, but 99.9% of the time, you're gonna find one that's got all the goodies already done to it. Now, if you're a beginner rider and you're just wanting to get into motorcycles, definitely recommend these. But let's break down, these brands real quick. So Suzuki, I would say, is just your great all-around sport bike. It's just a good bike. Nothing really stands out about it. By the way, this is my personal opinion. I've owned every single one of these bikes too, so that's why I'm giving my opinion on these. But great all-around bike. Honda. One thing about Honda is that it's very reliable. It's a Honda. They look good. The value is always gonna stay up there too. But I will say they just shift hard. They're just clunky shifters. They're a little bit, rough on your butt. It's a little rough on your butt. But other than that, great bike. Kawasaki, we talked about earlier. They're known for pure power, and I can't exaggerate enough. Now, it's comfortable, but that bike is made to go, be gone. So be warned. And you know what? Thanks, Kawasaki, because they're quick, and we like that. We like that a lot. Yamaha, ultimate track bike. And you know what? Some people will be like, there's better bikes out there. You know what? There's a reason why that's all you see at the track. It's a fantastic bike. It's Yamaha. Yamaha's been doing this for a long time, and they make a great product. Now, not a comfortable bike, very aggressive. If you want to go on a long ride or something, I wouldn't recommend one of those just because your back gonna be hurting because you're gonna be hunched over. It's just that aggressive style, but it handles amazing, looks good, fantastic bike. Now if we're going to the Triumph, that one's a little bit more difficult because I feel like a special person has to want to go for a Triumph. Either your person that loves the track and wants a great bike that is just lightweight, nimble, and quick, you get a Triumph, or someone that just really wants that unique look and design, which I was that person. I was like, oh man, I had to have one. That's gonna pretty much to break it down. So if you're looking at, a sport bike and you're trying to figure out which one you want, look at these factors right here. Whether you are a beginner rider or an intermediate or an expert, I don't care who you are, do not be a squid and don't be riding around in shorts and flip-flops or shorts and just some sneakers. Don't do that. I've never been down, knock on wood, and I'm blessed to have said that. I've had some serious close calls, a lot of them, but thankfully I've never been down. But I will say, I always wear protection and gear. I don't care if you're going just up to the store or something. 20 miles per hour going down on the asphalt will destroy your body. Just 20 miles an hour. So imagine going 70 to 100. Yeah. So please be safe out there. Wear a helmet, wear protective gear, jacket, pants. Just put, even if you don't have leathers or anything, at least put on jeans, you know, and put on some closed toes boots. I'd highly recommend that. Don't be a squid. Talking to you, and you know who you are. But guys, that's pretty much it. I really appreciate you guys watching the channel, subscribing, and tuning in. If you're looking for a sports car under 10 grand, click this link right here. If you want to look for a nice truck, I got a couple of trucks in mind under 10 grand, click this link. Also, if you're interested in the Audi TT, which I just made a video on, click this link wherever it's at. I'm your host, Keith Sweeney, and we're gonna drive fast and sip slowly. Y'all have a good night.